At 3:17 a.m., October 17th, 2004. A home camcorder captured this. Less than a second of footage. For 20 years, no one noticed it. Until one man slowed it down and realized this wasn't an accident. It was a lie. Welcome to Arcane Echo, where forgotten details become evidence. Tonight, we examine a cold case that was never cold. It was buried, and a single frame brought it back to life. Willow Creek, Ohio. Population, just under 18,000. Safe, predictable, insulated. The crime rate is below the state average. It's the kind of town where tragedy feels impossible. Sarah Jenkins didn't just live there, she shaped it. 38 years old, a history teacher and the founder of the Willow Creek Community Literacy Fund. She was organized, methodical, and risk-aware. She wasn't reckless, which is why October 17th made no sense. At 7:42 a.m., her neighbor, Martha Henderson, called the police. Sarah's lights had stayed on all night. That wasn't normal. Officers arrived. They found her at the bottom of the basement stairs. There was no forced entry, no broken windows, no obvious theft. The conclusion? She slipped during the storm. Head trauma, fatal. The case was closed in less than 2 weeks. But there were details, small ones. The basement light was off, and Sarah hated walking in the dark. Her phone was upstairs, but she always carried it. Her reading glasses were folded neatly on the kitchen counter. If she fell unexpectedly, why was everything so orderly? Friends whispered doubts, but doubt without proof is just discomfort. And Willow Creek wanted comfort. Years blurred. Sheriff Harding retired. Sarah's charity continued, renamed in her honor. Arthur Gable became president of its board. He was respected, trusted, wealthy. He spoke at memorial events, smiled in photos. The town healed, or it thought it did. Michael Thorne isn't hunting for murder. He's clearing out an attic. Dust, VHS tapes, forgotten birthdays. Then one label stops him. October 04, the big storm. He plays it. Wind, rain, static. Then, a brief pan across Sarah's house. He rewinds, frame by frame, and he freezes it at 3:17 a.m. There it is. A glint. A shadow moving away. Michael assumes it's nothing. A rain reflection. Light distortion. But something feels wrong. The shadow moves with intent. He sends the footage to forensic video analysts. 3 independent reviews all agree on 2 things. The metallic reflection is chrome, and the shadow has human proportions. That's when the question changes. Not did she fall, but who was there? Sheriff Brenda Riley reviews it. She's skeptical. A 20-year-old VHS tape? But media attention grows. Michael publishes a blog post. True crime forums explode. A phrase trends locally, the 3:17 frame. Public pressure builds. Riley reopens the case. Detective Mark Jensen reconstructs October 16th and 17th, 2004. Weather records confirm heavy rain from 2:50 to 3:40 a.m. Power fluctuations were recorded at 3:12 a.m. Visibility was extremely low. Perfect cover. They examine archived dispatch logs. No patrol units were near Elm Street at 3:17 a.m. Then they check vehicle registrations within a 3-mile radius. One match stands out. Arthur Gable owned a 1998 black Lincoln Town car with a chrome bumper. 2004 cell tower records still exist. Arthur's phone pinged near his home at 2:58 a.m. Then, no signal from 3:09 to 3:24 a.m. Exactly 15 minutes. The shadow appears at 3:17, right in the middle of that silence. That gap was ignored in 2004. Now it screams. Mrs. Albright, now 82, recalls something new. She saw headlights through her curtains. Not parked outside Sarah's house, but 2 streets over, engine running, with the storm raging. She assumed it was someone waiting it out. She was wrong. Then comes Emily Gable, Arthur's estranged daughter. She hasn't spoken publicly in years. She reveals that on October 16th, she overheard a phone call. Sarah was threatening to expose Arthur. He had diverted over $400,000 from the Community Literacy Fund. If exposed, he would lose everything. His reputation, his wealth, his freedom. That night, he drove to Sarah's house. He claimed later it was to reason with her. But something went wrong. A forensic review suggests Sarah was struck before falling. The bruising pattern was inconsistent with a simple tumble. There were defensive marks on her forearms. The basement light was off. The killer knew the layout. He pushed her. She fell. He left. The storm covered the noise. His phone was powered off for 15 minutes. And then, silence for 20 years. Arthur Gable is arrested at 68 years old. The community is shocked. Board members resign. The charity collapses. People replay every memory, every handshake, every speech. They realize something terrifying. He wasn't hiding. He was celebrated. That single frame. It wasn't high definition. It wasn't dramatic. Just magnetic tape and rain distortion. It didn't confess. It didn't scream. It waited. Because truth doesn't disappear. It compresses. Into a pixel. Into a shadow. Into a moment no one bothers to examine until someone does. At 3:17 a.m., the line moved. And the camera caught it. If you believe the smallest detail can change everything, subscribe to Arcane Echo. Because somewhere in a dusty attic, in a forgotten file, in a frame no one slowed down, another truth is waiting.